It is time for your virtual happy hour presented by Bud Light Seltzer. Julie Donaldson here with you. Look, we are up and running on training camp. It's a beautiful day out here, nice and warm. The players were out early in the morning, getting in their walkthroughs, getting in their conditioning. They're going home, getting their Zoom meetings now. So we're going to have a happy hour, and well, for that, we're going to have to start a tab. I'm not doing this alone today. We're bringing in our Washington football team insider, Kyle Stackpole, joining me today. Kyle, so glad to have you along. We have a really great lineup for everybody, but we're going to start as we open up our tab on the offensive line with Brandon Sheriff. He is entering his sixth season. He is a three-time Pro Bowler, even last season making it, and you could argue that was a relatively down year for him as well. Dealt with some injuries, but you know what he's going to bring. They franchise tagged him, but we haven't gotten to a long-term deal yet. Where does the team stand in trying to get something done?
Yeah, like you said, haven't reached a long-term deal yet. And this kind of goes with Rivera's thinking that they want to be able to watch players first, and he wants to be able to coach them up before he decides whether to extend them or not. So they're still talking it out, but Rivera did say that the more he's around Brandon and the more he sees him, the more he feels comfortable making that type of commitment. So while nothing is done yet, it seems like that it could be on the way.
Yeah, Coach Rivera showed us during free agency that he's going to make sure if he spends money, it's going to be done wisely on the right players, because they didn't really go all that big. But when it does come to Brandon Sheriff, well, he addressed the media just the other day. And one of the questions brought up as well, does he want to stay here? Here's Brandon.
I get to play another year here. You know, I said my end goal is to end up as a Redskin my whole career, and I'm one more year closer to that, and I'm just excited for this year, so I'm not really worried about that at all.
Oh, listening to that, this is it. This is the place he wants to be, Washington football team. And also, if Rivera is likely to say, okay, he's worth the money, you kind of have to look at the salary cap. How much room do they have?
Yeah, so right now they are second in the NFL. They have $36.5 million, second only to the Cleveland Browns. And a lot of that money is going to carry over to next year. So they're going to have the money to pay Brandon Sheriff if that's what they choose to do. And they're going to have to dish out a lot of it, because Brandon Sheriff right now is the highest paid guard in the league. He's making $15 million a year on that franchise tag. And right now, the highest paid guard in terms of annual salary is Brandon Brooks. He's making $14 million. So if Washington wants to retain the Pro Bowl guard, they're probably going to have to pay him between $14 and $15 million a year. But Washington, like we said, has the cap space, and Brandon Sheriff is a Pro Bowler. You want to protect a young quarterback. So the move definitely makes sense, and Brandon Sheriff seems like he's worth the money.
It's hard to find those big guys up there on the line that can definitely hold their own, play through the injuries, and protect the QB. Sheriff proving that he should be worth that money. We'll see if a long-term deal does come, but when you do talk about free agency with this team, look, they didn't go get any big splashy names during that time, but they did sign plenty of guys to deals.
Yeah, so I think this kind of goes with Rivera's thinking that he wants guys to prove it, and he wants to see what he has before making any long-term commitments. Washington signed a bunch of guys, but they weren't very expensive. And I think that's going to help them out for this year, is kind of see what happens. And then next year, with a lot of cap space, they can kind of go out and get those big name free agents that come up every single year.
Yeah, a lot of the guys he brought in are on those one-year deals. They are prove-it deals, coming back from injury or just haven't necessarily found a home or found their way to click into things. They're going to get the opportunity to do that here. If you talk about kind of big free agency surprises, well, there are quite a few, especially at quarterback. I mean, the biggest one being Cam Newton to New England. That's because Tom Brady left New England to go to Tampa, which that was the biggest storyline in the offseason, is what does Tom do? But there was a big quarterback shuffle. What was the biggest free agency surprise for you?
Yeah, I really think it probably was Cam Newton, but just to go along that, you had Phillip Rivers going to the Colts, you had Teddy Bridgewater going to Carolina, and then you even had Todd Gurley going to Atlanta. So there was a ton of big names this year, just like every year, and next year it seems like there's a good class too.
All right, well, there we go. Next year, since they didn't make any big splashes now, Rivera making it clear he wants to evaluate who is on this roster now, give the competition to the guys that are here. But you can anticipate once that's done, once you go through this year, that they're going to need to make other moves. Who would be on the market looking forward to next year? Yeah,
so next year, they have a really strong wide receiver class. So you have Keenan Allen, you have T.Y. Hilton, Cooper Kupp, Kenny Golladay. If you want to talk defense, you have Patrick Peterson, Justin Simmons. So Washington is going to have a lot of cap space, and they're pretty much going to be able to go out and get who they want for the price they want in 2021.
I think it's a matter of exactly who they want, right? I mean, we did see that they swung for Amari Cooper. Wouldn't have been great to be able to steal him from the Cowboys and come right here. That's always a rivalry. It doesn't seem whether it's on the field or trying to get the guys off of it. But you know that they're going to want to be adding players, especially on offense, to be able to give some weapons to the young quarterback coming in here. So it's good to see that there'll be some options as we do look forward to the future. But look, our tab is started. We're going to see what is on tap. So as we move forward here in our virtual happy hour presented by Bud Light Seltzer, we're going to show you what is on tap. And guess what? Kyle is going to be taking us through his favorite cereals and comparing them to wide receivers. If that doesn't make any sense to you right now, stick around because it will when we come back.
Take me out to the ball game.
Take me out to the couch.
Baseball or football or racquetball. We don't mind, we'll watch any at all.
'Cause it's root for the home team.
Oh, way, we don't really care.
Oh, no, I care.
'Cause sports are finally back and there's a Bud Light there.
A moment of joy, a source of inspiration, an act of kindness, an old friend, a new beginning, some welcome relief, or a cause for celebration. What's inside? Possibilities. What we deliver by delivering.
This is the front door.
Here's the living room.
The hallway that takes us to
The kitchen.
The bedroom.
oh, and of course, where we spend most of our time.
The backyard.
It is time for What's on Tap, and we know everybody has the questions on how is this wide receiving core going to shake out. You know you have Terry McLaurin, but who else is going to be out there to making plays? Well, their coach, the wide receiving coach, Jim Hostler, spoke to the media. Here's how he sees it going down.
The group is, there's some talented players in there. We have speed. We have some bigger body guys with some length. We have a couple of guys that fit into the way we think about how the position should be played. So there's some diversity there that hopefully over the next couple of weeks we can round it down to, okay, here's how we're going to go play the games and who we're going to do what with, and we can go have some success on the quarterback, as somebody that you can throw the ball to.
Not sure that really answers a lot of questions for you. Basically, it's open competition. We're going to see what the guys bring as training camp does go out. Maybe somebody emerges like the Terry McLaurin. Remember, when he was brought here, he was supposed to be a special teams player and totally dominate that. It didn't take long throughout training camp to realize he was destined for much more, as he is the #1 wide receiver coming into this unit. Bringing Kyle Stackpole back in with me for What is on Tap. Kyle, we're going to go through some of these other receivers because it is time now for Kyle's Crunchers. And what we are doing with this, folks, is, well, Kyle is going to be comparing the receivers to a cereal. So we're going to start right there with Terry McLaurin. How do you have him in this one? We're working on audio here, folks.
Sorry about that.
Oh, we're good. We're good. I was giving you a minute to get that.
I had to think
this
about,
is called
really
minicamp form, right?
I had to really think about what I wanted Terry to be, but I'm going with Cinnamon Toast Crunch. It's a crowd favorite. It's flavorful, filling, anytime, anywhere. It always gets the job done, and that was Terry McLaurin in year one.
Lots of sugar sprinkled on top on that one. I don't think anybody will argue against the flash. He's kind of really a subdued kind of a guy when you talk to him because he's so mature. So, but I'm not going to go against that one by any stretch of the imagination. If we're going to go moving on here, Steven Sims Jr. He was really popped up. Undrafted, comes out of Houston, works his way slowly into the offense, playing mostly in the slot, but they said he's going to be doing much more in this offense, which of course falls in line with what Scott Turner wants to do as offensive coordinator. So I'm curious to see what you have Steven Sims Jr. as.
Yeah, so we have Cookie Crisp up here, but I think that was more of what he was last year. Something that you would have once in a while, but it was really good when you did have it. I think this year he's more reliable. He's going to have a bigger role. So how about Steven Sims Frosted Flakes? Because Washington doesn't expect him to just be good. He expects him to be great.
Yeah, and just even talking with him the other day, he was really excited. You could tell he kind of felt more comfortable with himself. He had that extra confidence and that extra maturity that he was bringing just in the way he carried himself. And he said that that's something also he was earning the respect of his teammates on the field. So yeah, I think it's deserved to go on as something and saying instead he's going to be just a one-time thing, just a one-trick pony kind of a thing, that he's going to be able to hopefully do more and really grow in this offense. Moving on, look, you got to go to the rookie that they're bringing in, AGG, Antonio Gandy Golden. Look, he's a jack of all trades. Not only does he go out there and play multiple positions that he did in college, but they're bringing him to be wide receiver, be really aggressive, maybe that red zone threat. So what cereal are you giving him?
Yeah, so I'm going to go for AGG. I'm going to say Wheaties, just because growing up he must have eaten his Wheaties. He's a big, strong guy, and that's really what Washington is going to expect from him, to be a big physical receiver, be reliable. And then the motto is Breakfast of Champions. And like you said, he can do so many different things outside of football, solve the Rubik's Cube in under a minute. He plays guitar. He's bowled a 300. He can do a flip while catching a football. So I'm going to go with Wheaties for AGG.
Yeah, I might have gone here for this one, maybe like a Lucky Charms, because, you know, there's a whole bunch of different options in the Lucky Charms there, because he is like so versatile in a lot of different things. You never really know what you're going to kind of get with him or what he's going to do, how he's going to surprise you. But okay, fair enough. Look, it's your Kyle's Crunchers. You can do anything you want with these. Moving on, Antonio Gibson, he was drafted in the 3rd round. They have him mostly the running back room, but he could be also a big part of the wide receiving room as well.
Yeah, so we actually had him as Lucky Charms, but as I was thinking more about it, I was on my way to work today, and I thought Reese's Puffs. That's the better comparison. You have the peanut butter and the chocolate. You have running back and the wide receiver. You don't have it all the time, but when you do, it's really good. So let's go with Antonio Gibson as Reese's Puffs, and he has all the makings of a perfect offensive weapon.
Are these your favorite cereals, by the way, that you went with?
Reese's Puffs is, yes, definitely. But the other ones, not so much. I just thought way too much about it.
I'd be curious as to who would be able to get my favorite ones, which would probably be like a granola or a Chex or a Life. I'm not sure who wants those. Maybe Thomas Davis Sr. might get the Life because he's still playing 16 years in. Okay, we love it. Kyle's Crunchers, way to get creative and breaking down the wide receiving core. Folks, that's what we bring him on here for, you know, spruce this up a little bit as we go through it. When we come back, we're going to do Cheers to That. I talked with Jimmy Moreland just a little bit earlier, and he is a player that really has a knack for the ball, but what is he expecting from himself heading into year 2?
The natural light is amazing.
Hardwood floors.
There is a bit of a clogging problem.
At least GEICO makes it easy to bundle our renters and car insurance.
Yeah, helping us save even more.
For bundling made easy, go to geico.com.
Take me out to the ball game.
Take me out to the couch.
Baseball or football or racquetball, we don't mind, we'll watch any at all.
'Cause it's root for the home team.
Oh, way, we don't really care.
Oh, no, I care.
'Cause sports are finally back and there's a Bud Light there.
Miracles. What we deliver by delivering.
cheersing. Today we are cheersing Jimmy Moreland. He came on last season and showed he has a knock for the ball. A little bit of a smaller player, but he doesn't play that way at all. I chatted with him a little bit about what the transition was from college to his rookie season and now what he expects from himself going into year 2. Now, Jimmy, I got to ask you, you're a Florida guy. I'm a Florida girl. COVID has everybody kind of up in arms trying to figure this out. I actually spent COVID in Fort Lauderdale, which was kind of a nice escape. Where'd you spend it and kind of who did you work out with?
Mostly I was up here in the beginning of it, just working on my treatment and stuff like that. But, I ended up going back home, just working out with my personal trainer, really staying out of the way because, COVID-19 hit and then you can't get too much access to places you wanted to go to.
How are you feeling?
My time in Florida too.
Awesome. How are you kind of feeling with just a couple days of camp now with the guys under your belt?
Being around the guys is a special thing. Being back around the guys, we all having fun. Getting back to football now. So you gotta get back in shape, football shape, not just in shape anymore. So it feels great being around the guys instead of being in the house cooped up.
It's kind of fun watching you as well. I mean, everybody's just been waiting for football to get back. Talking a little bit about your journey, though, you come from a smaller program at JMU, had some standout numbers there, 18 interceptions, 6 return for touchdowns. But, a lot of people got to be exposed to that. They got to see your knack for the ball when you did get to those 5 starts and playing last season. What would you say was the biggest adjustment for you, though?
The biggest adjustment, just the speed of the game, when I got in preseason, I had these outstanding training camp numbers, but once the real regular season came, I got off beat, and just getting back to my normal self at the end of the season. But the injury caused me to not finish the season. So coming from a small school, I think just a chip on my shoulder, because I could have been at a bigger school that I thought I could have, but just having that chip on my shoulder and being the person I am, competitive, and that just made me football player I wanted to be.
I've talked with quite a few guys that were familiar with your play at JMU, and even early on before you even came to Washington, they said that guy's got it. He has the ability to be a starter the way that he is. Don't underestimate his size. You kind of play bigger than that. People are a little bit surprised by your knack for the ball. Are you still feeling like you have to kind of like adjust and say, hey, you know what, I'm going to be growing. I'm going to be somebody that's going to fighting for the spot?
You always have to grow and adjust. That's just the way of living. And just getting better with myself, knowing my weakness, knowing my strength, and just trying to perfect my craft as well.
I mean, how is it that you do play bigger than maybe your stature actually is?
I think it's because I'm a Florida guy.
I'm not going to argue with that by any means at all. So what are the expectations now for you?
My expectation is to be the best I can. I always keep myself accountable for my players, and be the best player and teammate I can be towards my team.
You're talking about making those plays in preseason last year. I think you picked Haskins off quite a few times. He said he was glad that at least you're on his team and not working against him. Are you anticipating more of that the same, or is Haskins sitting there saying, not this year, I've worked on it, you're not going to be able to get those?
He's a competitive guy just like me. He already came up to me, you ain't picking me off this training camp, And that's just the competitiveness in him and me, just getting each other better, overall. And just like I said, just good to be back around that.
Last season, I also remember you getting into a car. I don't know that you ever saw me do this, but you had to get in through the side door. You remember that? You couldn't go in through the driver's door, like somebody was climbing in through the side door to get into the car.
Oh yeah, I do remember.
Have we fixed that yet?
We fixed that plenty of times. No.
I mean, it's got to be the perks about being in the NFL. I found a little humor in that, saying, look, you're coming in, you're having to fight for this. But look, I mean, you're planning to be a big part of this defense.
Yes, sir. I am.
Fair enough. When you do look at kind of the way that the secondary is kind of built, there's a lot of changes that went on there. A lot of guys left, a lot of new guys coming in. And last season, there was a lot of communication breakdowns. What's going to be the biggest difference that I know it's early on, but that you think we're going to see from last season?
The biggest difference is we are playing together. The different schemes in our defense right now. And just, they, as a coaching staff, they bringing it to us like they breaking it down as simple as they can. And we are out there just moving around and just getting along real well.
All right. Well, we wish you the best as training camp does get going. We'll see. I think we're going to start a tab and see how many picks you get on Dwayne compared to last season, who gets the better end of that one. And also, you're a new dad. Congratulations on that.
Well, thank you so much about that. You know, thanks for having me, and have a great day.
All right. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks. All right, it was great to chat with Jimmy. I remember talking with him last training camp and heading into it all, and just kind of seeing the growth as well. That's what you expect from somebody going from their rookie season into the next year also. And well, Kyle, when you listen and you look at all that he's done and what he wants to do, you know, I mean, he had all his interceptions in preseason and during training camp. Didn't quite translate during the regular game, but everybody pretty much on the team says that that is going to be something that comes with the way that he plays.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Landon Collins talked about him a couple months ago and was saying that he should have had 7 interceptions based off athletic ability alone last year. So he has high hopes for him. And then just talking with DB's coach Chris Harris and Kendall Fuller, both of whom haven't seen Jimmy in person, but they still have high hopes for him based on his film. Kendall Fuller said that he's got a dog mentality, he's a playmaker, he's competitive. Coach Harris said that he's got that old school mentality and he's tough and he's willing to get in there and tackle. So Jimmy, like you said, he had a really good preseason last year, didn't really carry over, but I think he has the experience now and the confidence to really make a jump in year 2.
You know, every player that has been asked about him kind of recognizes the talent that he has, the ability that he has. And they're just saying all it is just kind of like really fine-tuning that, getting the right technique. But he has that knack for the ball, so he knows where to be, and he has the instincts for that, and he's quick to be able to get there as well. So you'd imagine there's going to take some good big leaps as he does go into this next year as well. Look, folks, as we're kind of going through all of these shows, we want to make sure that you're involved. So send us some tweets through this. You know, you can comment on the interviews. Tell us what you want me to ask these guys as we're going through it, because we want, again, you to be involved in this. And also maybe if you want to go back on Kyle's crunchers and talk about how he compared any of the receivers to the serials, if you want to go against that as well, you can. When we come back here, though, we are going to close out our tab telling you what is in store for tomorrow as we continue our training camp coverage.
Is the front door.
Here's the living room.
The hallway that takes us to
The kitchen.
The bedroom.
Oh, and of course, where we spend most of our time.
The backyard.
The new house is amazing, so much character.
Original crown molding, walk-in closets.
We do have a rat problem. At least GEICO makes bundling our home and car insurance easy.
It does help us save.
For bundling made easy, go to geico.com.
Take me out to the ball game.
Take me out to the couch.
Baseball or football or racquetball, we don't mind, we'll watch any at all.
'Cause it's root for the home team.
No way, we don't really care.
Oh, no, I care.
'Cause sports are finally back and there's a Bud Light there.
Time to close out another day of training camp, but we are just getting going. This is really just the first week. It is going to be a longer training camp because there is no preseason. We're here to bring you as best coverage as we can as we do go through this, so make sure that you stay engaged and involved with us. Our Washington football insider, Kyle Stackpole, has been through us here throughout this virtual happy hour. Kyle, kind of when you look back on the day, what are your biggest takeaways?
Yeah, I think just going off this show, we talked about all the wide receivers, Terry McLaurin, Steven Sims, but there's another wide receiver that fans should keep their eye on, Isaiah Wright. He's an undrafted free agent out of Temple. He can return kicks, he can return punts. He was really a special teams standout, and special teams coordinator Nate Katzer even mentioned him unprompted in a press conference about how he contributed on special teams. So if you remember, Steven Sims last year was a special teams guy, and then he morphed into a contributor on offense, and I think that could be the same with Isaiah Wright. So I'm going to go ahead and say it right now. Isaiah Wright is making the team, and he's going to be a part of that wide receiver group.
You know, it's even interesting this year, especially because of COVID, is that, you know, look, they have their 53-man roster, but they can have more players active because of COVID. And because you don't know, you have up to 90 minutes before game time to be able to say a player can't go if they, heaven forbid, test positive. You need to have players that can step in on the roster. So I think there will be opportunities for a lot of guys to be able to come in and make plays. And, you know, hopefully everybody stays healthy throughout this entire process and throughout the season it gets off without a hitch. A player that I would say there to take a hot take on and make sure we get into, I'm going to go back to Cam Sims. You know, I got my crew here is the name that was thrown out. We said that because, look, we've been saying his name for a lot of times. He hasn't had the opportunity to fully make the roster, to make an impact. Coming out of Alabama, he had very limited time because he was playing behind, you know, one of the best out there. I think he's going to be able to flash, and I'm pulling for him to say this is the year that he makes the roster and has the full opportunity to make an impact on the offense as well. He's that big body. He's hungry for it. So time to just stop talking about him in the preseason. I'm saying he's going to be making the roster. There you go. Those are our hot takes as we close out this virtual happy hour presented by Bud Light Seltzer. I'm Julie Donaldson. Kyle Stackpole joined me today. Look, we're going to be doing this every day, 2:30. We know it's a little bit early, but really, is it? It's never too early to come in and join the team and join the Washington football team, see what's going on. Thanks for joining us today. We'll see you again, same time, same place tomorrow. And also, well, we'll have more interviews tomorrow coming along as well.